Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. We got a great show for you all. A very different lineup than regular. Two guests that have never been on. I'm excited to have both of them. Outstanding guys, incredible handicappers, knowledgeable as shit. Jesse, Schule, and I probably said that wrong, and Nick Parsons. That's an easy one. Jesse's going to look at Pittsburgh and Wake and the Avs playing Vancouver. Vancouver off of a 10-7 loss. 2 touchdowns and a field goal in a hockey game. How rare is that? Nick Parsons after him. He's going to look at Butler and Villanova and the Stars and the Rangers. And Dave Sharapan will end the show. I'm Lawrence Presman, co-founder of WagerTalk. Teddy Covers is my co-host. Let's get it rolling. Jesse, how are you, my friend? Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Prez. I'm really looking forward to this.
Jesse, so
you've
Tony
been on
George
once before,
called.
Jess, haven't you?
I've been on with Dan at Sportsmemo today, but I've never been on WagerTalk Today.
All right. Well, I feel like I've seen you just around the corner.
No, you know what it is, Teddy? You know what it is? It's Tony George called and wants his face back.
Thanks, Lawrence.
And hey, I love Tony. He's a good dude. Anyway, Jesse.
He's about 20 years older than me, though.
Well, I never said you're not handsomer. I love people who could rock that hat. Like, I have tried so many times to rock that type of a hat. I can't pull it off. You can. Is this a regular thing with that kind of a hat, or do you hat it up in a different manner?
Yeah, I got a closet full of them. And when I don't feel like doing my hair as fancy as Teddy does his, I throw one of these on.
Teddy, get some info out of this man.
Yeah, my hair's super fancy every day. Let's talk a little college hoops for tonight, and we'll start looking at a game in the ACC. Pitt and Wake Forest. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. We're seeing Wake, about 6.5 point home favorites against Pitt. What do you want to do with the Demon Deacons and the Panthers?
Well, I think everybody's looking at this game, seeing that 13-0 home record for Wake, and thinking, this should be an easy spot for them. But I'm seeing it the other way. I look at a Pitt team with a 6-2 road record, and arguably I think that's more impressive than a 13-0 home record. There's a lot of teams in college basketball that have great records at home, maybe not 13-0, but there's certainly a lot of teams that are undefeated at home. And there isn't a lot that have 6-2 road records. The number one ranked team in the country, UConn, has a 6-2 road record. And they didn't beat Duke and Virginia. Those road wins weren't coming against cupcakes. They beat Duke, they beat NC State, and they beat Virginia on the road. The history does tell us that these two teams have played close games in the past. 7 of the last 10 meetings were decided by 6 points or less. Pitt, they come in hot. They won 7 of their last 8 overall. The one loss during that span was a 4-point loss at Miami. 6.5 looks like too many points to me, guys. I'm going to take the points with the underdog.
Now, in theory, this is supposed to be a Wake Forest spot. They're coming off of back-to-back road losses, Duke and Virginia. The Virginia game in particular, where they were held to 47 points, not what we're used to seeing from a pretty potent offensive team this season. Here they're taking a little bit of a step down in defensive class after playing Virginia and Duke. Does that worry you at all about the favorite in this one?
No, Teddy. I look at the previous meetings between these teams, and they've been close. And you look at what Pittsburgh's done. I think they can hang. At the end of the day, it is a lot of points. So yeah, I feel comfortable taking the points here.
Jesse, joining us. You can find him at Sportsmemo. We're going to talk some hockey, but before we get into that, just tell us about yourself. What sports are you best at? How have you been doing? Why should clients look to be purchasing your plays?
Well, pretty diverse. I'm into sports like soccer and CFL that not everybody handicaps. But if I was going to say I specialized in something, college sports, college basketball, and college football, over a decade of experience with winning records that can be proven and that are documented. So I prefer the college game to the pro game just because you got more spots. You can pick your spot better when you got a large card on a Saturday and you can choose between 50 or 60 games rather than an NFL slate or an NBA slate where you're trying to pick the best game out of a dozen. You've got more opportunities with college game. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing pretty well over at Sportsmemo, as you can see there, racking up the wins. And actually, this time of year, I'm pretty excited about this time of year just because you got the tournament coming up. You got teams jockeying for playoff position in the NHL and the NBA. More meaningful games makes it easier for a handicapper to pick his spots, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'll talk about that and what bettors learned with fewer meaningful games last night that sent me in the wrong direction. But Jesse, let me ask you as well. I know that certainly you're introducing yourself to some new bettors today. Talk about your volume. Are you a guy that puts out a lot of plays, a few plays? Tell me what your strategy is when it comes to beating the sports betting world for cappers getting their first look at and hearing, looking and hearing and seeing you for the first time today.
Well, Teddy, I've been around for a while, so in my older age, I've become a little bit more conservative. These days, I tamper down the volume a little bit. You're looking at, let's say, between two and three plays a day during the week. When it gets to weekends and big cards, when there's a lot of games available, I'll go up to 5, 7, 8 plays in a day. But you're not going to see the 12, 15 plays in a day from a guy like me. I pride myself in writing up a decent analysis for each play. I know that's something that not everybody does in this day and age, but it's something that I feel strongly. If you're going to put out a pick on a game, you better have something to say about it. So that's where I stand with that.
Jesse, let's talk NHL. I mean, last night we saw a 7-goal period by the Minnesota Wild to come back on Vancouver. Look, Vancouver looked really good 5-on-5, and they are the best team in all of hockey. They took some terrible penalties. Rick Tocchet is not a coach that deals well with that kind of shit. I know you like the Avs here. I'm curious why. I know it's a back-to-back, but man, that was a embarrassing loss Vancouver had, and I gotta think they're going to bring their A game tonight.
Well, I thought the same thing about Tampa last night, and I know you did as well.
So did I, Jesse.
Yeah.
So did I.
I will say that, I was going to mention this. You see a loss like that, you give up 7 goals in the third period, you blow a 4-1 lead. You expect the coach to tear a strip off of his team, and you expect the team to respond. But in this case, the Canucks have the best record in the NHL. So how much of a strip can you tear off them in that spot? And now, it's the second game of a back-to-back. The Avalanche do have the best home record in hockey. It's at elevation. You have the altitude. Maybe that factors into why Colorado has the best record in the NHL on home ice. You look at Colorado's goaltender, Alex Georgiev. He's 17-3 with a 2.61 goals against average at home. You look at Colorado's best player, Nathan MacKinnon. I was surprised when I saw this, Prez. He's got 55 points in 26 home games, only 36 points in 30 road games. Colorado plays damn good at home. They're going to be up for this game as well. They know they're playing the best team in the National Hockey League, or the top team in the standings, and they want to show them who the real best team is.
Yeah, and that's fair because we see that a lot with the sort of, here is the veteran Colorado Avalanche and an upstart team in Vancouver. There's no reason they can't meet in the semifinals. And I think you're right. I think the Avs want to, sort of stake their claim. Hey, we're still the kings of this matchup. Jesse, what do you got going for your clients tonight? I know it's $3 Tuesday over at WagerTalk. We've packaged you and Nick together. You've got a 5% play. Both of you guys are only $3 at Sportsmemo. What else is going on?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to play on probably the biggest game on the college slate tonight, and I'm excited about that. I don't have anything else going tonight, but looking forward to the return of the NBA. I've done very well with NBA picks as well. And like I said, coming out of the All-Star break, the games are more meaningful, and I will probably ramp it up with the NBA moving forward.
There we go. Great work, man. Loved having you on. We will definitely get you back on this show again. Best of luck tonight. Kick some ass. Take care of yourself. Teddy Covers, what did we learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
And again, just to be clear, $3 for two best bets at sportsmemo.com right here on $2 Tuesday. What did I learn last night? I learned I should have passed. I was so dumb yesterday, Lawrence. I really was. I had a solid weekend. We had a strong Sunday. Ohio State upset over Purdue. NBA's on All-Star break. There's really not much to choose from yesterday on the card. 3 games from the conferences that I cover, and none of them with teams that I've been riding or had a great read on or anything like that. So my initial thought yesterday at the opening numbers, I was going to pass. And then the steam started showing for Virginia Tech, and -1, -1.5, up to 2, and then to 3, and 4 started popping. I gave him a second look. I'm like, yeah, I'll take Virginia plus the points. It's a 1-possession game, too many points. Boy, that was a pretty dumb bet. Virginia offense struggling again. We saw that against Wake, the Wake game we just talked about this past weekend. Hokies beat them each of the last 3 times in the same building. They lost 4 or 5. They come out with their hair on fire. I turned the game on, Prez. It was halfway through the first half. It was 16-14 Virginia Tech. I'm like, okay. I turned it off with a minute left in the first half. It was 36-14, a 20-0 run. And I'm like, yeah, well. I checked the score once after halftime. It was 58-30 with 9 minutes left. I turned it back off. The pass is a valuable weapon in your arsenal on any given day. You don't need to make bets. You never need to force bets. Sometimes on a light card, you can talk yourself into, yeah, this one looks okay. Don't need to do that. I shouldn't have done that last night. That's what I learned, Lawrence. Back to you.
Teddy, I love that the pass is a valuable arsenal. I want to say that it is my favorite. I mean, there is nothing better than when you pass. Then you don't have to look at scores all bloody night. I haven't passed in a million years.
Yeah,
now,
you don't pass.
Friday, this past Friday, there was only one hockey game, a very few college basketball, and no NBA. I passed. And I forgot how exhilarating it is to not have to look
not to be
at
checking your
scores.
phone all night.
Yeah. So I watched a movie last night. I thought it was spectacular. I wanted to recommend it to everybody. It's called Dumb Money. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about it. It's on Netflix, I think. I have every streaming service, so they all start to blend. It's really the story of the GameStop stock during COVID and how it went 100x and they took it to the man, et cetera, et cetera. Paul Dano, Seth Rogen. I mean, it was just outstanding. I know there's a documentary on Netflix, 3 or 4-parter on the same story. I haven't watched that, but I highly, highly recommend Dumb Money. As well, I'm deep into season 2 of Alpha Males. That's one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. If you guys haven't seen Alpha Males, it's basically a story of 4 men around my age, okay, a little younger, late 40s. And it's all about, they take a course on deconstructing male toxic masculinity. So it's very much a conversation that people are having today. One of the best sitcoms you'll ever see in your life. Nick Parsons joining us. Dave Sharapan after Teddy's Big Game Breakdown. Lots more. How are you, Nick? Nice to have you with us.
For sure. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Yeah, great resonance in your voice, Nick. You and Joe Ranieri should do a show together. Anything you want to add so far to what we have discussed?
Just that I don't watch any of those shows. I'm more into barbecue videos, and that's all I've been watching the last year or so. But yeah, maybe I will have to check those shows out when I have a little more time.
So do you make your steak on the barbecue, in the oven, or on the frying pan?
I do them all. I can do all of those. I got an array of insane barbecues, and so I'm really big into it.
Wow.
Got the sous vide, do the whole thing. So yeah, big into cooking for sure.
And are you doing the reverse sear or Chicago style?
Yeah, doing the reverse sear for sure. Absolutely. I mean, it's the easiest way, and you get the perfect steak every time. And so yeah, everyone's eating good around here for sure these days.
Okay, well, everybody in the chat room, you're all invited to Nick Parsons' house tomorrow night. His address is 7 Lunar Crescent.
You got to come to the
Nick,
West Coast. You got to come to the West Coast.
Nick, that sounds freaking great, man. You should you should do the barbecue at Teddy's house in August when we all get together. Okay, let's
That
get
sounds
into
great.
it.
I'll be there.
Pittsburgh.
Let's do it.
No, Butler and Nova. You like Villanova -6.5. Tell us why.
Yeah. So as I'm new to the show, but so your audience doesn't really know me, but I'm primarily a situational handicapper, and this one falls right into my wheelhouse. Now the Wildcats, they have a lot working in their favor here. There's actually more money on Butler, in fact, or there was in the early going, and so that also appeals to my contrarian side here. But these teams are now moving in opposite directions over the last 3 weeks. The Wildcats, they also play with revenge after an 88-81 OT loss at Butler as 1.5-point dogs in late January. Now, these teams, they do have really similar win-loss records, but when you look a little closer at their numbers, we find that the Wildcats also enjoy advantages in this position. You guys, Jesse was just touching on this a little bit about home records and away records, etc. Butler at 16-10 overall, and Villanova is 14-11. But yeah, the Bulldogs, they're only 3-5 straight up and 4-4 against the spread on the road. The Wildcats are 8-4 straight up at home and 7-5 against the spread. So Villanova does enjoy the home court advantage here as well. Oh, there goes my earbud there. But yeah, two really strong factors, the revenge factor coupled with the documented home court advantage factor, where Butler has definitely struggled on the road. And then you have to look at current form, guys. As I mentioned, these teams are moving in opposite directions. Butler has lost 2 straight now, albeit against really good teams, falling 78-72 to Marquette and then 79-57 to Creighton. But Villanova has won 2 straight. It beat Seton Hall here 80-54 before then beating Georgetown most recently 70-54. Now the Wildcats, they looked really good on both ends of the court last time out, but it was the defense that stole the show. It held its 4th straight opponent to under 60 points. And then conversely, guys, in the Bulldogs' last loss, they missed 14 of their last 15 shots from 3-point range. Now they're facing another red-hot defense here that's capable of stopping the 3-ball, and which plays with revenge, and which has the home court advantage. And so, yeah, guys, I think Villanova will keep the foot on the gas from start to finish. I'm laying the points.
So one thing Butler hasn't done a lot of this year, they haven't really let go of the rope. You know, they've been competitive in defeat. And last time out they were. Last time out they just got blown off their home floor. Creighton just annihilated that team, start to finish. When you see a team that just lost a couple of games at home, and the last one was a particularly bad loss, and then they hit the highway, is that a team your natural inclination is to fade, or is that a team your natural inclination is to back? Because a lot of times I'm looking to back that team in the hostile environment, that's going to be their get-right spot. So talk to me about that conceptually, Nick.
Absolutely. That's a good spot, a good situational spot to play on a team like that. But then you have to look at the overall situation is here, well, Teddy, and I think that so Villanova's situational factors in this case sort of trump that. And so I would definitely take that into account. I did take that into account there, but I'm sort of looking at it as this is sort of a slump, and this isn't actually, in fact, a spot where they're going to be able to jump back. They are now sort of slumping here. These teams are moving in opposite directions. And so I think ultimately those factors that I listed for Villanova will prove to be the difference maker. And I just think that they're going to try to keep the foot on the gas from start to finish.
Nick Parsons, everybody. Nick, let's talk some NHL, and then we'll get into who you are and why people should play you. So last night we had Boston play Dallas, and Dallas had it right to the bitter
Boston.
end. Good. Yeah, and Brian Leonard had them as a 5% play.
Wow.
Boston needed an empty netter, 6-on-5, to take it into overtime, and then they won. I had circled the New York Rangers as a big bet for me if Dallas had won last night. Well, They lost. I still like the Rangers. I like them a lot. I'll be talking about them on the penalty box segment. But you like the under in this game. Tell us why.
Yeah. I also like the Rangers as well. I think that's your analysis there is spot on. But yeah, I just finished talking about being primarily a situational handicapper. And so here's another great situational play. I mean, despite who gets the start in net for either team and despite who's in or out of the lineup, I think from a situational standpoint, this sets up great to be a lower scoring under. If the audience really does want to get to know me, guys, go over to Sportsmemo, check out my $2 play there. You're going to get a real insight into the way my brain works and the analysis and the way I look at games and everything. And I have the $2 Tuesday play over there. It's a big 4% college revenge play. I really love that play. But if you've followed me for any length of time, you know I'm not a big players guy. I feel much better at assessing a team as a whole rather than breaking it down individual players and trying to assess it like that. I mean, when you do that, you're really getting into the fantasy sports realm, which is an entirely different thing and unbelievably difficult. So the players on the field of play rarely come into my equation when making picks, unless, of course, it's a player like Patrick Mahomes or a Giannis, etc. In those cases, I'd rather just steer clear of those games. But as I say, if players aren't in the lineup, then their absences are reflected in the line already. But perhaps this is a topic of discussion for another time, my handicapping philosophy, etc. But anyways, as I was saying, this is for sure, as a situational handicapper, this one falls into my wheelhouse as well. Two really good teams going head-to-head here. Dallas, off back-to-back high-scoring extra period losses. The 4-3 shootout yesterday there. Obviously, I feel really fortunate to have Boston. Dallas, though, has seen the total go over a number in 3 straight. After this, they have 2 tough games at Ottawa and Carolina. And so I just think the visitors, they're going to be looking to slow things down here, clamp down on the defensive end. They've also seen the total go under the number in 4 of their last 5 after playing to 3 or more straight overs in a row. And for New York, it plays with revenge here after a 6-3 loss at Dallas back in November. The Rangers have seen the total dip below the posted number in 7 of their last 10 in trying to avenge a road loss versus an opponent. So yeah, I mean, New York has won 7 straight. It's off that epic 6-5 OT come from behind win over the Islanders in that outdoor game. It scored 13 goals in its last 2 games. But I just think this underline here on Tuesday is a little too high, guys. The overall situation combined with some of those trends, I just see this one going under.
Look for the Rangers and Stars to be a relatively low-scoring affair in NHL action tonight on Tuesday. Nick, we're excited to have you on. We've got an audience that isn't all that familiar with you. Why don't you give some highlights from your resume? Why should people be interested in Nick Parsons' opinion about sports?
Well, like Jesse, I've been doing this a long time as well, and I've been watching you guys for a long time, and so just really happy to finally be a part of the big show. But yeah, if you guys want to get to know a little bit more about me, all you have to do is go over to Sportsmemo and check out the leaderboards over there. I've done really well this football season in particular, guys. Probably one of my best football seasons of all time. I finished number 1 in the NFL at Sportsmemo, number 1 in college football as well.
Wow.
So number 1 combined in the football there. Really great season, obviously. And I'm also doing really good in the NBA. I have a winning record so far as well, which carries over from a really big year last year, all documented, etc. And so, yeah, I'm just, that's a little bit about me. And as I say, the numbers speak for themselves. Check the leaderboards over at Sportsmemo.
Yeah. And just to make mention, guys, in the 7-8 years of WagerTalk and Sportsmemo being around, and I could be wrong here, but no handicapper has been number 1 in both college football and NFL at any site. That is an absolutely outstanding achievement, Nick. You come across great. You got an awesome voice. I have an idea for you, Nick. There's a million handicappers, and especially on YouTube, social media, you got these like 12-year-olds that are giving out picks, and these 25-year-olds that are making up betting slips on their photocopy machine, blah, 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 blah. We got to find a way into the market. Everybody needs a brand. Everybody needs an angle. Cooking and tips with Nick Parsons. You do a video while you're barbecuing.
You know what? You're not the first person to recommend that, actually, believe it or not.
Listen, there is a link. There is a link, right? Like, everybody who bets sports eats.
Loves barbecue.
That is a
just
fact.
goes hand in hand. Absolutely.
So, you'll be
we
like,
can talk about it. I think you're onto a winning idea there. Absolutely. I could easily pull that off.
yeah, I mean, you literally, I could see the whole thing in front of me and be like, today we're going to teach you how to do a reverse sear. While we're cooking, I got 3 NHL bets to give out. Then when you're done, you're cooking, you're like, okay, time to watch my winners.
Absolutely. I think, Prez, you know what? I mean, I can kill it. Yeah. We've got to talk about that, get together afterwards, and come up with the winning show title. Picks and something.
I am with you.
Steaks and...
Nick, you can have Carmine on as a guest every now and again. You could zoom in and out of each other's kitchen. He could teach you how to make lasagna. You could teach them how to barbecue. Teddy could show everybody how to eat. There's something here, man.
Let's do it. Yeah,
Teddy?
I think there is something there. You're right.
So cooking shows are more difficult than you think, is all I'm going to say. You need a bunch of camera work. You need a bunch of mic work. It's not something you can do half-assed. If you're going to do it for real. That's all I got to say. Nick.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, I agree with that. But, Teddy, it's so crucial to find a niche in this space. And Dan, our producer, can help you with this, Nick. This is a legit idea. And it gives it gives you a brand, something different to what everybody else is doing. So anyway, that's it.
Agreed.
I'll shut the hell up now.
All right. We'll talk about it.
Thank you, my friend. What a wonderful segment. We love having you on. Teddy covers. It's time for your big game breakdown.
Big game breakdown. We're talking MLB futures this week. Yesterday, we talked about the LA Dodgers. Today, I'm going to talk about a team that's lying 30 wins below the LA Dodgers, the Kansas City Royals. Lined at 73.5 wins. This team went 50. Why the heck are they lined at 73.5 wins? Because they're better this year than last year. We'll look at Kansas City over 73.5 wins. This team doesn't have to be good. All right. They have to be mediocre. If they're mediocre, they're live to go over this number. And again, 56 was the franchise worst, 56 wins last year. They're at a minus 183 run differential. Their ineptitude was on full display, even in the least competitive division in the league. So what did they do this past offseason? They brought in a bunch of veterans. We're not talking about the big names, but we're talking about a whole bunch of guys with upside. Look at the pitching staff. You bring in Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha. Again, both guys have had injuries, but there's potential there for them to be pretty good. You bring in 3 new starters offensively. And again, we're not talking about guys who are going to move the needle necessarily. Adam Frazier doesn't do that. Garrett Hampton doesn't do that. Hunter Renfroe doesn't do that, but there's potential there. All right. They've got an emerging superstar in Bobby Witt. They have a pitching staff that, again, is not going to blow you away. We don't need it to blow you away at over 73.5 wins. All we need to do is be decent. In particular, I love the moves they made in the bullpen. Reagan's was good over the back half of the campaign last night. You have a bullpen that got remade. And this is the Will Smith, Chris Stratton. Solid. In that pen. Difference makers. The AL Central is the worst division in baseball. It's really not that close. The Twins won the division with 87 wins last year. They're lined at 87 wins again this year. They were the only team above 500. The White Sox look awful. The Guardians are down. The Tigers are perennially rebuilding. The Twins are lined at 87 wins again. It's not like this is a tough division. To ask Kansas City to be mediocre, not bad, I think is reasonable. I think they get to 74 wins. Give me the Royals over their win total. And there's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
So, Theodore, GPL _2000 writes, WTF, pro baseball is months away. Why are we talking about this?
2 reasons. 1, it's the NBA All-Star break, and it's time to talk baseball. 2, when you're betting futures, you want to, in general, it's particularly win totals. Win totals bounce around. If you're going to bet MLB win totals, this is your season. You want to wait for a month? Fine, wait for a month. And watch all the numbers you were going to bet get juiced to high heaven, because these are the right side in theory. But that's why we're talking about baseball right now, because the market is ripe and because NBA's on All-Star break. Don't worry, it's not going to be baseball every day just yet.
Yeah. Theodore, one of our listeners, Luke B. Light, came up with a really great name for Nick's new cooking and picks show. High Stakes. That's a pun. That's not terrible.
That sounds like a weed show, though.
Oh, well, that's a better show. I want in on that show. I always used to... I mean, you've seen me roll a million joints, and it's like I have not had a joint in 10 years. I would like to publicly challenge the Snoop Dogg to a rolling contest. I'll give him 2-to-1 odds, $1,000. Who rolls faster and better? We get 3 judges, blindfolded. They decide. Snoop, I have called you out. Yes, Teddy?
Snoop doesn't roll his own joints anymore, dude. He's got, I was reading something. Snoop's got like 3
then
guys.
He could choose his roller. He can choose his roller. He could proxy him in. I will take Snoop on. So, Daddy of the Year, I was teaching my daughter last night how to roll. Nice.
Well done. See if Sharapan's doing that.
Dave Sharapan ain't here yet, bro. So, good try on the segue.
I'm curious if, because you're sitting there like, oh, yeah, I got no problem with my daughters, teach them how to roll a joint. Sharapan's got daughters. I'd be curious if he would have that same opinion.
Well, listen, I think everybody's ultimately different, right? I mean, I take the parenting strategy of you can't prevent your children from doing what they want to do. I allow my daughters to have their boyfriend sleep over. What am I? If not, they're going to do it in a car. Like, you tell your kids don't do drugs, they're going to do drugs. Like, you have zero ability as a parent to prevent your child from doing what you likely did in the first damn place. So my strategy has always been open communication is the number one priority. My focus with both my daughters is open communication. I want to know what they're doing. I want to talk to them about it, and I will not judge them. That way they feel like it's a safe space and they can communicate with me, because I'm not going to be one of those hypocrite parents that'll be like, you're 18 years old and don't do drugs, while I was like basically high for my entire 18th year. So that's sort of my strategy. You got a boy who's about to enter that whole phase. Yeah. And you better not be a hypocrite parent yourself, because I know.
How could I be a hypocrite parent? That's not how I'm wired, dude. It isn't. That being said, I'll take the over on when I'm teaching Isaac how to roll a joint. Or having
I'm going to teach him. I'm teaching him in May.
So, dude, my whole thing with Isaac and alcohol and drugs and all this is I'm trying to use the old Simpsons line. There's a time and a place for everything, and that time and place is college. As much of this as I can push him back towards experimenting, he's still a little young for that now, dude. He's 12.
Dave Sharapan, have you taught your daughters how to roll? Oh my God. You have a head?
I do.
What?
I lined it up for you boys too.
I never knew.
Yeah.
I always thought it just stopped right there.
No, it's there. It's there.
Never.
I put on the list.
Never come on this show without a hat before.
Yeah.
Not once in 4 years.
So, Dave, let's talk. Before we get into sports betting, what is your parental strategy? Do you tell your kids to not? Are you a hypocrite parent, or are you a parent that focuses on open communication and allows your kids to make their own damn mistakes?
Second option. Whatever you said first, I It's second option. Listen,
Okay.
we've been raising them in Vegas. I've been here 21 years. We're going to make mistakes. Carmine Bianco, that's not bad. Actually kind of looked like Carmine. Got to see Carmine for the Super Bowl. That was nice. No, but I don't even know what you were talking about. I apologize, but I got 3 daughters in Vegas. Everything's fast. They see things. They hang with kids. Ideally, you try to keep them in good situations, but no, I mean, this is part of our job, is to let them make mistakes and grow, pick them up when they're down. And when they get a little too confident, Prez, you got to chop them down a little bit, 2 chops to the throat,
Well,
2 chops to the throat. Listen. So it goes both ways.
We're getting to sports betting in just a moment, but I just want now. Lawrence was just talking about how he was teaching his daughter to roll joints.
Whoa!
Can you ever picture imagining teaching? That's what he asked. Are you rolling? Will you teach your kids to roll? Is that something that you have a plan on doing, or is that something not even in your wildest nightmare would you be doing that?
That's something in my wildest nightmare I would not be doing, because I would have to have Prez teach me how to do it, because I've never done it. I'm 53. Now, I've seen guys do it. I've sat at tables while guys have done it. I've watched it be done, but that's not my thing. So, no,
Well, Dave,
if
listen,
my daughters want to do it, I might have them call Prez. Yeah, that's it. We'll just
I'm
have them a
happy to
trusted
teach your
advisor.
daughters how to roll. Let's get into some actionable info. Theodore, you
Please.
run it, man. I'm going to kick back and start working on my daily presidential address.
Please do.
Absolutely. But let's start. I want to start with a little bit of Super Bowl recap.
Yep.
From you, because we haven't gotten it. Talk about what happened in town. Talk about how the book, because there was a lot of discussion that the books got beat up, and then you start looking at the numbers, and the books still won, didn't they?
Yeah, the book still won thanks to the futures money. I think the individual game, the way it fell, maybe day of game stuff lost a little bit or broke even, or like the industry term is, they won a peanut, where it's the biggest game of the year, the biggest day of the year, the biggest handle single day of the year. You want to get close to 10%. You want to actually, if you handle $10 million, you want to make close to $1 million. You make 200,000 on 10 million handle, and it's like, what did we even do this for? You put up all those props and all those things. So it's a little disappointing in that regard, because a lot of the props went over too. But the game staying under didn't help. It fell in the middle. Some people got middled on it. All 4 teasers won, Teddy. You hear guys whining and complaining about that. But then you go to ask them to be on the show the next week, and they're on vacation in the Caribbean, or, they're skiing up in Vail or anything. So there's no sympathy for the book. I mean, there's more sympathy. I told you that line from Purdom is gold forever. I'm getting it on a T-shirt. There's more sympathy for the devil than the bookmaker. And that's never been true more than after the Super Bowl.
And when it came to the Vegas as a town hosting the Super Bowl, I know you were out and about all week. I followed you on Twitter. Dave, a fantastic follow on Twitter at SportsBKConsig. He's got his ear to the ground when it comes to what's going on in Las Vegas. Talk about the experience of Super Bowl week in our hometown.
I think it was a very positive one for the most part, but like the stories are coming out now that some people may have been taken advantage of, may have had some things taken from either their persons or their set or their areas. I've told people this for years since I worked in a book the first time at the Golden Nugget all the way back in 2004. I used to tell guys that would come up to bet the third race at Aqueduct not to leave anything on the counter in the book, because by the time they got back, it could be 45 seconds. Whatever they had on that counter was gone. You got to be aware when you come to Vegas of somebody's always watching, not just the eye in the sky. So you got to be I think a lot of people, I was walking downtown and someone, I was waiting for my car at the valet, and somebody came up and said, I just got pickpocketed. They took my wallet right out of my pocket. That can happen anywhere, but there was a lot of people looking to hustle, a lot of people that week, Teddy. There were very few of those stories, though. I think overall it was a positive thing. The league loved it. The media loved it. They said they're coming back within 4 to 5 years. So we're going to have it again. And we're going to continue to have big events here. It's going to happen more and more.
Eddie, I'll do
Lawrence?
NHL. You continue, bro. Just
Let's go.
continue, man.
All
You're
right.
doing a good job.
Okay. All
But
right.
I will.
I'm doing
But I
the
will
best.
say this,
I-
Teddy. The people in the chat room are like, Prez, you're nuts to let your daughter's boyfriend spend the night at your house.
Whoa.
I have a 23-year-old and a 21-year-old. What? I should prevent that? Dave, where's your thoughts?
I'm getting close. I'm only a couple of years behind you. I mean, we pretty much have an open door policy at this
Right.
point now where, listen, the door will stay open, and this is still my house. You're a visitor.
Okay,
here.
no, close
You're
the
not a
door.
resident.
Go make me a grandkid.
Whoa! I'm not at that point yet. Please. What the hell are you talking about? I don't want to know
Dave,
nothing
your
about that right
daughters
now.
are
I
doing
just-
it, dude. They're doing it.
I just watched.
They might as well do it in comfort.
Oh, my God.
I just watched Sharapan age 3 years in one question. That was insane, dude. Your face got like legitimately older as that question was being
I
asked.
wasn't ready for this line of questioning today, Fred. Jeez. Hell. Oh, woosah. Okay.
Guys,
All right,
put
let's
up in the
talk- let's
comment
talk
section
sports.
what you think. Because I want to know, after the show goes live, would you let your 22-year-old daughter's boyfriend stay over? Now, don't go the way I go. I literally stand outside their bedroom door going, make me a grandkid, make me a grandkid. That part may be inappropriate, but let's
Definitely.
focus on the first part.
What's wrong with you?
A lot.
Dave, I want to talk some NHL with you. I want to talk some college basketball with you.
Yes.
But let's
Yes.
start with a little MLB discussion. We're talking
Yes.
MLB during the NBA All-Star break.
Yep.
What teams have you seen? Again, you're around town. You got your ear to the ground as much as anyone. You talk to odds makers. You talk to more odds makers in a day than I talk to in a month. Where's the money showing for MLB? Who are the popular teams? Who are the unpopular teams in the betting marketplace right now? Certainly when it comes to season wins.
It's so funny because everybody's talking about the Dodgers and how high their number is and how can they not go over that number. But the hidden gems are in like teams like in the AL Central. The Kansas City Royals are getting a lot of love in that division to go over their season win total. The Detroit Tigers, again, listen, every year they bet them. They've been betting them the last 2, 3, 4 years. They're going to be right one of these years. I still don't know what they're going to do for a complete pitching staff, but apparently they have the youth movement, and that AL Central is just ready to be had. It's not Minnesota's division anymore, and it's definitely the Chicago White Sox under is one of the sharpest guy plays of anyone early that I've talked to. A couple guys that I really respect. We were talking just this past week about when are you doing the work? What are you looking at? Said Cease isn't going to end up being on the White Sox by the end of the season. Their team is destined to lose 100 games. So that one under. And in the NL, I mean, I don't know. It's St. Louis over again. The NL Central, one of those ones that a lot of guys like to look away from the best teams and the best divisions. The NL East is very hard. Between the Braves and the Phillies, they're going to dominate, right? The Mets season win total is in the mid-80s, 84.5, 83.5 at some places. I don't see it. I see that one going under.
Dave Sharapan breaking down MLB in February. This man is prepared. Dave, I'm going to let Lawrence ask you about NHL. I'll ask you about college basketball today. Let's give him something actionable for tonight's slate in college hoops. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What does it come? Where's the action coming for today's college basketball?
Gigantic game between UConn and Creighton. I think a lot of people will be talking about that game, watching that game. UConn is the best team. They're pretty much the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing, pretty much at every book you look at. Short favorites today on the road. I personally like UConn. I've been told that Creighton is going to be a play if it hasn't already. All the 3.5's gone, but I'm not buying it. I've seen Creighton in these situations before, expected more from them. They have not delivered. I personally saw them play here in Vegas in a neutral site game. They look bad. When they don't make threes, they get run out of the building. I think they're going to have a problem tonight with UConn's length. Pitt at Wake Forest. Another one I got from a guy this morning I was talking to about some other things, and he said, did you see that Pitt line? It feels too high. +6.5. Pitt's won 5 in a row. I think the ACC has been one of those really iffy conferences. I mean, you see some bad basketball by some perceived to be good teams like Virginia last night. I don't know. Pitt feels like they played so well over the weekend. They're playing well, 5 in a row, like I said. That's a play. And then what's the first game on the board? It's a 3:30 start. Let me see. I had that one circled too. Oh, Butler, Villanova.
Villanova.
Butler has played well as a dog at home, not so well on the road. Villanova minus the points. You got to lay 6.5. You got to take 6.5, and then a short favorite with UConn. How's that?
Dave, that was spectacular. Well
Do my
done, my
best.
friend.
Thank you.
Let's talk NHL, but we are running out of time. Dave,
Quickly.
as we move into sort of, look, we're well past halfway. We're on the backstretch of the NHL, and I always actually find February a little tricky. I've had a great February this year, but normally I don't. I think now as we move forward, it's about more of a conceptual betting process, which teams are buy teams and which teams are sell teams, as opposed to maybe a nightly betting process. And for instance, I look at a team like Tampa Bay and I'm like, this is a sell team. I'm looking at a team like Winnipeg as a sell team. I'm looking at a team like Calgary as a sell team. I'm looking at a team like Vancouver as a sell team. Where conceptually are you with the NHL as far as what teams are buy or sell teams moving forward? Because I think that's sort of how to handicap the next couple of months of hockey.
That was one of your best questions of all time. And I don't want any drama on a Tuesday, but this is a hell of a year. And that was a hell of a question from you. Hockey global. Let's do this. Look at the games today. Dallas and the Rangers. Great game. I think both buy teams.
Yes.
Really. The Rangers went kind of a little bit down.
Medium. It's because they're already so high that
True.
It's tough to buy a 30-13 team.
When you watch Dallas play, though, this has a team that looks like they're going to be in the Western Conference Finals. They can play any style of game.
Yep.
So impressed. Both ends of the ice. And the Rangers, I just saw that outdoor game, watched the entire thing from beginning to end. Their checking line is 6'7", 6'7", with a 6'2" centerman. They're going to punish teams on the fourth line. Really impressed with them. So 2 buy teams. Minnesota's a buy. Winnipeg's a sell. That's another one. Minnesota, I think, is turning things around. Now, I don't know about whether they're going to make a run in the playoffs, but they're a bet-on team right now, especially overs. I like that game today, over. You're not getting Hellebuck, you're getting the other guy. And then I'm with you on Vancouver as far as the spring. But for now, there's going to be games when they're going to be priced wrong. And I think they can be a buy-on team individually. Colorado's really good, okay? Yeah. I don't know about that game other than over. And then I think a sell team to add to your list, Prez, is Vegas. Something is amiss with this team. I'm telling you, you watch them every night here. They have efforts where, like yesterday against San Jose, they beat bad teams the way they're supposed to, but against good teams, not sure. That's it.
Brother, outstanding segment. We loved having you on. What do you got to promote?
Bostonian versus the Book, Monday through Friday. The YouTube channel is the @ Boston versus the Book. We got a live show. It'll be like the meetup, like it was for Wager Talk a year ago when everybody came and went. Resorts World, March 21st and 22nd. We're doing a live show from the Book. Got to deal with them, so we'll see you there. Every day, Sports Grid, Sirius XM Radio 159, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern, or Pacific, 8 to 10 Eastern. Until today, we got a big meeting. The whole spring lineup's going to change. We'll find out what the deal is. Until then, cash considerations this week, Newbie and Anthony, we're back, baby. Thanks, Prez. I'm staying for the address. I need to hear this.
You got it, brother. It's going to be super quick. Daniel's son, cue it up. Okay, boys, it's time for your daily presidential address. I got a couple of bets to give out, one total, one side. The total I'm giving out is a 2% play I release to my clients. Make sure to grab that. Guys, you got to be betting all my NHL right now. My clients are on an 8-2 NHL run, 14-4. I'm up double-digit units of profit on the season. I'm really seeing hockey well right now. So please take advantage of how I'm handicapping hockey. Head over to WagerTalk. I got 2 college basketball bets and 2 NHL bets for you all. And of course, in college, I'm up double-digit units of profit again, same as last year. Okay. Dave Sharapan came on the show and mentioned he likes the over in the Minnesota-Winnipeg game. I disagree. Look, if you guys have been following me all year, I think last night was the 10th under I've bet in a row with Winnipeg. I've been releasing Winnipeg under the total for over a month now. Every single game, I haven't missed one. Now, I have lost the last 2 games, and that's okay. It happens. I look at tonight's game, and I think, okay, Minnesota blew their load last night. They put up 10 goals in one game, a 7 spot in the third period. This Winnipeg team is the number 1 defensive team in all of hockey. And what I like here is that they're coming off of a loss. What I want to do is I want to bet right into the team's identity. So if a team has lost a game, I expect them to be at their best the next game. What is Winnipeg at their best? Winnipeg at their best is a team that wins 3-1. Winnipeg at their best is a team that wants to shut their opponents down, play heavy hockey, slow the game down, 41 or 2 shots in total, both teams combined, and get out of Dodge with a W. I'm looking for Winnipeg to play right into their identity tonight, take the under. The next game is the New York Rangers, minus 140 against Dallas. Brutal spot for Dallas. New York Rangers, well-rested team sitting there waiting. Dallas last night up 3-2 with a minute to go in the game. Let a goal in, lost in overtime, then had to travel to New York. Brutal spot for Dallas. Take the Rangers minus 140. That's it for the show, bro. Teddy, we'll see you tomorrow. Take us home.
Enjoy the games. Best of luck. Wager Talk Today will be back 9 a.m. Pacific Time, noon Eastern Time, 23 hours and 7 minutes from now. Cheers.